You want to know the truth about my experience at culinary school? They used to slap me with bacon. I'm just playing. What's happening, guys, and welcome back to Sliced. Today we are talking about my experience going through culinary school and working in a professional kitchen. Now look, my religion is something that I like to keep personal. It's part of my personal life. I don't really like to bring it out onto videos. And also, I feel like food in general speaks to everyone. It doesn't need to be boxed into a particular religion or anything like that. It's for everyone, and I want everyone to be able to enjoy my videos. Having said that, I've received many DMs and comments of people who are Muslim and are aspiring to be chefs, who want to know what it's like being a Muslim and going to culinary school, especially when we have the beliefs of not cooking and handling pork and alcohol. So I feel like it's important that I talk about my own personal experience in this case. In this video, I'm just going to be going through what it was like in general as well to go through culinary school and to work in the kitchen and stuff like that. Mainly I'll be touching it upon my experience as a Muslim and hopefully give you a few tips that if you're a Muslim aspiring to be a chef, that you can use to hopefully help you in your experience. But even if you're not Muslim, still stick through this video. I'll just be talking about my general experience anyway, and if you do want to go to culinary school, then I'm sure it's something that will help you as well. Okay, so look, let's start this story way back when I was 8 years old. A few of you know this already, but when I was 8 years old is when I first started cooking. I wanted to give my mum a hand in the kitchen, and so she taught me how to make jacket potato for the first time. Stabbing it with a fork, putting it in the microwave. I think I was too weak to actually stab the potato, so she had to help me. But I just had this it came out of wanting to help her. And since then, I had sort of watched lots of videos, Gordon Ramsay videos, restaurant videos, lots of famous chefs. I love Gino, I still do, but I love Gino especially a lot when I was younger. Watched a lot of their videos. Learned the basic principles of cooking. By the age of 16, I was cooking home-cooked meals and stuff like that. I learned a lot by watching my parents cook, by sitting on the stool, watching them cook and asking questions about seasoning and stuff like that. So I picked up little things as I was kind of getting there, right? Now it comes to the point where I'm doing my A-levels and I'm doing English, RS and psychology. I also did maths, but we don't talk about that. Anyway, English, RS and psychology, I love those subjects. I was gonna go down one of those fields, English, lit, psychology. I was even gonna think about business as well. Business was probably what I was closest to actually. But yeah, I was in that kind of field of, quite intense, thought-heavy subjects. And I was filling out my UCAS form and deliberating on it and going back and forth and back and forth. And it was a few days until the deadline and my mum was like, Yusuf, you need to submit this thing. What's going on? What's wrong? And I was like, look, I really love cooking. I've become obsessed with it. I want to be a chef. I want to own my own restaurant one day. I want all this kind of stuff. And so my mum was like, well, if you want to be a chef, go and be a chef. If you're going to do something, do it properly. So I was looking online, chef degrees. I literally typed in chef degrees. And so I found a perfect degree, which I didn't even know existed, but it does. Culinary Arts Management. The management side was the bit that I was really looking at that would kind of tie in that business aspect, and the culinary arts would really satisfy the desire to be a chef inside me. And so I filled it out, and there were a few places that do the degree actually in the UK. So there was Ulster in Ireland, I believe. I don't even know if they still do it. There's Derby, I don't even know if they still do it. There's Sheffield, I think they still do it. I might be wrong. Forget those three. The ones that I know definitely do it were the University of West London and UCB, University College Birmingham. Now I actually just put in Birmingham for the sake of it. I was actually pretty much firming London because that's where I'm from. It just so happens that fate brought us a big move to Birmingham. My whole family moved up here, and so I ended up at Birmingham, and I was thinking I've never been to an open day at this university. I've been to the open day in London and I was quite happy there. So will this university actually be good? Now, like many of you who are watching this thinking, I want to be a chef and I'm Muslim, how's that going to work out? I actually sent an email at the beginning of this course. Once I'd been accepted and firmed in and stuff like that, we were already in Birmingham and I'd ordered my chef whites and my equipment and that kind of stuff. I sent an email to pretty much all the lecturers I could find that were in the food department, just saying that, look, my name is Yusuf, I've had a dream to go and open a restaurant one day. I really want to be a professional chef. I love this, I love food, but I don't want to cook with pork and alcohol. Is this something we can talk about? And so I got invited in for a meeting with a senior member of staff. A member of staff who is a really nice guy. I've gotten along with him throughout my time at university. We've had a lot of good conversations, and I have respect for him. Just to let you know, because I don't want this to sound like this meeting was like really awful and stuff, he was saying it with a really kind tone. But he basically advised me in a realistic way and said, look, this industry is full of pork and alcohol. This industry is not going to be easy if you decide to say, I don't want to cook with pork and alcohol. So he said, look, just think about it in a balanced way. Do I want to go ahead with it and it will be quite difficult, or like, maybe reconsider the future of this? So I went away and I was like, okay, let me think about this. I remember that week that I was at home, I was like looking up PGCE routes. I was looking up doing an English lit course and becoming a teacher. In hindsight, I would be a terrible teacher. Have you seen my face? I have the worst resting face ever. The kids would be mortified. It would be an awful predicament. Yeah, I was definitely made for food, I think, thank God, not teaching. Anyway, the head of my year for that particular year, the first year, emailed me and said, look, let's have a meeting. I have one-to-ones with all the students. I'll schedule yours in first before the first session. And so I was meeting him. The meeting was on the 6th floor. The lift was taken. So I'm walking up these stairs, 6 flights of stairs. I'm thinking, overthinking. PGC's in the back of my mind. I'm like, get away. I don't want to think about you. Get up to the 6th floor. I'm out of breath. I'm frustrated. I'm tired. I've been thinking about this a lot. I get into that meeting. The minute I sat down, I'm like scrambling for words. I'm like, tearing up. I'm like really stressed. And he was like, what's wrong? And I'm just like, look, I really want to do this course, but I don't want this pork and alcohol thing to be an issue, and I don't know what to do. And he goes, look, I don't know an awful lot about your religion and your religious specific beliefs around food. So why don't we work together? Why don't I make things easy for you and like facilitate things as you go on through this course, and in return you can kind of help me out, and we can set like a foundation for what it would be like for future Muslim students that are going to come onto this course. I was so relieved. I was like, this is great. And so we actually had a session straight afterwards. So I got dressed into my whites, which, by the way, I hated some of the things in my whites. The necktie in particular, the neckerchief. I'll show you a picture if I have one, but yeah, that was just horrendous. Anyway, so I go into this first session and he just quietly says to me, as if he hasn't treated me in any different way. He just goes, look, Yusuf, you're on the fish tonight, and I take care of this fish course, and I don't have to handle meat. And it was like that for the rest of this year. We had, so just to let you know about the first year of this course, it was the foundations, it was basics. We were talking about basic skills. 1 week chopping, 1 week soups, 1 week appetizers, 1 week desserts, different things here and there. We were talking about the basics of cooking. We were covering basic nutrition, basic hygiene and safety, basic commodities. There was a couple other things as well that I'm just forgetting. But yeah, the first year was all about basics, about kind of leveling that playing field. Really beneficial for me actually, because while the academic subjects I kind of figured out and like they were okay for me because of my background with academic subjects, when it came to being in the kitchen, I was terrified because I'd never been in the kitchen before. Whereas a lot of my friends that I'd made that came through the catering college kind of route were really good in the kitchen and helped me out. And then when it came to the academic stuff, then we kind of helped each other. So it really worked out in like a nice way where people from different backgrounds could kind of come together, level the playing field, and things worked out quite nicely. The chef that I had for skills, who ended up being my lecturer every single year, I had him for like many subjects, and he was one of my favorite lecturers. Actually, all 4 of the main lecturers that were on the Culinary Arts Management course were just amazing, and I have so much respect for all of them. They were all great, and I had lots of great encounters with them along the way. So yeah, this lecturer that I remember when I had this conversation with him, he was just so open about it and calm, like, yeah, I've worked with Muslims many times in my like career and stuff like that. It's, I totally understand. We'll work things out. It just so happened that there were certain meats that the university ordered in which were from halal sources anyway. So like the chicken, for example, and some of the lamb cuts were actually halal. So it works out, actually, you just had to ask. Anyway, I got through my first year, a little bit of stress at the beginning, but we got our way through it. On to the second year. This was the year that I was like really worrying about. The second year is the placement year for all camp students. This is when you go away for a year at any restaurant. It can be on a cruise ship, it can be in a hotel, it can be a small restaurant, it can be huge, it can be a franchise, whatever. But you go in there, you get some solid chefing experience. And you have to fill out like a sort of 10,000 word report just about your experience by the end of it. I was applying to place after place after place. Bear in mind, it was difficult enough as it is because I have like no experience. Why does someone want to hire a chef that's got A-levels and not like, you know, actual experience, you know? It was a bit tough. And so I was getting like, you know, rejections from a few places and stuff like that. And then the university had their selection of places that they'd used before, or like had good connections with them. And I got emailed, look, there's this place in London, it's a hotel, it's 5 stars, it's bang in the centre, really, you know, quite high quality, a luxury hotel, would you want to work there? And I was like, absolutely, like, you know, sign me up. If they're willing to give me a trial, I'll take it. And I actually got an email back and they offered me a trial, surprisingly, and I was like, wow, look, going back to my hometown after being a year away in Birmingham. So I went down and I went in for this trial. It went really well. I got along with everyone really nicely. They were a great bunch of people, really diverse kitchen, like many kitchens are in London. And yeah, it went really well. And I had an interview with HR and they were all happy. Then I had an interview with my head chef, a person who I have an incredible amount of respect for. I remember his words very well. He said to me, look, everyone in that kitchen is incredibly loyal to me. They'll respect and do what I say. If I said, everyone get out of the kitchen, we're gonna run across Waterloo Bridge, that's where it was, just opposite Waterloo Bridge. Run across Waterloo Bridge and come back, they would do it because we have respect for each other. We would just listen, we listen to the authority, we respect that. And I said, you know what? I'm willing to do whatever it takes. I'm willing to put in extra hours. I'm willing to, you know, be the hardest working person that you have. I'm willing to do everything. There's just one thing. I personally would prefer not to work with pork and alcohol. An interesting one for a head chef, right? Like, this is part of the business, you know, how are we gonna, you know, make this work? But he was very respectful and, you know, he was totally okay with it and he heard me out and respected that. And that mutual respect formed right from the beginning. And I made my way through the second year of culinary school, which was out on placement, working at this 5-star hotel. I learnt an incredible amount, made some great friends along the way. And look, for I'd say like 99% of it, we were solid. Like even when it came to, we even got to a point where when it came down to Christmas and we were serving up Christmas dinners, and there was like, you know, potatoes, the pigs in blankets and stuff like that. And I'd be like, you know, plating up the plates and stuff like that. My head chef would jokingly say, you know, back away from the pork. And it would be like a sort of joke and stuff like that. So it really wasn't a burden on the kitchen. I didn't show it as a burden just because I can't cook with 1 ingredient or 2 ingredients. I will happily do everything else. I'll just pull my weight. So that was it. I didn't make it seem like I was a burden. I wasn't there to say like, oh, I can't do this, I can't do that. I was like, what can I do rather than what can't I do? And by making myself more useful and trying really hard and having that mutual respect for people and stuff like that, I was able to have a really pleasant experience out on placement. Now on to the third year. Now that I've kind of covered how I basically kind of sort of got through that, let's just talk about the third year in general. The third year of my culinary school was very creative. It was basically like, look, you spent a year out there training as a professional chef. Now you're gonna come back and really put those skills to the test. And we had the best module, my favorite module of the entire course. It was called Creative Kitchen Management, where we basically had to work as, you know, in partners, and we worked as a team to create an 8-course tasting menu. Yeah, it was 8 courses, 8-course tasting menu. Everyone took like a thing. I applied some of the things that I learned out on placement. You get to use any ingredient that you want, you place the orders on and stuff like that. The lamb we even ordered was halal for my dish, so I was able to like happily like taste things and cook things and, you know, that kind of stuff. Oh, on the topic of tasting actually, because that was a big thing for me, I remember when I was thinking about it, was how do you know if something tastes right if you're not allowed to taste it, if that makes sense, right? The simple answer is get someone else to taste it, okay? So for example, if I was cooking, not necessarily with pork and alcohol, but if I'm cooking with an ingredient that I can't have, say it was like lamb that wasn't halal, for example, right? And I need to taste it to make sure it's right. I literally just cut off a bit or take a bit or, you know, take a spoon out of the pot or something like that and just be like, chef, do you mind tasting this? We ask people to taste things in the kitchen anyway. It's common. There's spoons everywhere. Everyone's tasting everything. It's not like an unheard or crazy thing to ask someone else to taste something for you. I'm just getting an opinion. This thing's a bit more salt, Yusuf. No problem, put a bit more salt in it. You just trust their opinion, and that's it really. So yeah, when it comes to tasting, it really wasn't like a big worry. It was a worry at first, but then you kind of get used to just like, you know, do you mind giving that a taste for me? Yeah, no problem. You give them a taste, and that's absolutely fine. Anyway, back down to the third year. So yeah, we were covering HR. We were covering. I think I did a module in patisserie as well. I wanted to really sort of like develop my pastry skills and whatnot. And then into the final year, which was, well, I feel like it was mainly academic that final year. It was largely on the dissertation and some other management modules, strategic management, operations management, and stuff like that. We did have one practical module. However, the remit for this was something which was vegan. So anyway, yeah, that was a really brief kind of synopsis of what it was like at culinary school and the hotel. If I'm going to break this down into like 3 tips that I will tell you to take from this, okay? 1, I would say be open in your communication, you know? Don't just go into culinary school or go into a workplace and, you know, just stay quiet about it and don't say anything. No, be vocal about it. Say it. Just, if you don't say anything to people, how are they meant to help you, right? So I would recommend, if you're going to culinary school and you're in this position as, you know, a chef who has not necessarily just halal, but has any dietary requirement. I've spoken to people who are Jewish and people who are vegan, who have gone the same course as I have, to share my experience, because it's like, well, we're pretty much in the same boat here, right? Like, you know, halal one day, kosher the next. Like, you know, these are the same kind of principles that we're dealing with here. So just be open with whatever you've got. If you've got an allergy, especially if you've got like, you know, particular dietary requirement and stuff like that, just be open about it. Talk about it, you know. Talk about what you're comfortable with and what you're not. Some Muslims that I worked with are comfortable with handling pork and alcohol. So everyone has different beliefs and opinions. Some vegans will be happy to handle non-vegan foods, and some it doesn't work vice versa. Some vegans will be able to handle non-vegan food, and some vegans don't want to touch non-vegan food. It's just our own personal beliefs. So long as you convey that properly, you know, you're good. That's the first one. Just communicate it, man. Just be open with it. Number 2, everything needs to have value exchange. Every engagement, every interaction that you have with an employer or a lecturer or anything like that, you want to have value exchange. Don't just take from someone their kindness or their, like, you know, accommodation for you and your dietary need, and then don't give anything back. For example, at the hotel, if I just said, yeah, I won't work with this, I won't work with that, I won't work with this, I won't work with that, okay, I've crossed off half the list of all the things I need to do, I'm going to finish my work, go home at 5 o'clock. No, I was staying later, I was learning from others, I was helping others, I was making that value exchange shown. At the university, while my first year was a bit shaky, my 3rd year, my 4th year, I spent a lot of time giving back to the university, and to this day, I still have a good relationship with them, and I'm always willing to help. Whenever there's been an event, whenever there's been, like, you know, a scheme, talking to other students, I'm always happy to do it. I'm not just trying to like brag about what I'm doing, because it's not a lot, it's only a small amount of effort on my side. The point here again, value exchange. The university helped me a lot. They helped me a lot when it came to accommodating for my needs. I'm helping the university. It's a value exchange, you know. You always want to feel like if you help someone, they're going to help you back. So that's what I'd say. Don't make your religious or personal belief a burden on someone else. Make sure you're offering value in return as well. And number 3, actually there isn't a number 3. There were just 2. Yeah, that's the 2 main tips that I would give to you. If you actually made it through this entire video of me waffling and it actually helped you, comment down below, because I would appreciate knowing that I'm not just waffling on about my life for no end. It would be really nice to know if this actually helped any of you. So if this did help you, comment below. If it didn't, but you still watched to the end, then, you know, you're sick. I appreciate you. But otherwise, yeah, if you have any other deeper questions, pop it down in the comments and I'll answer it. Otherwise, please like, comment, subscribe, put your notifications on, follow me on my socials at slice_YT on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, and everything else. And I'll see you for the next video. Bye.